We live in a world wired to keep us begging for scraps of digital applause. Every time you post a thought, share an achievement, or check your phone to see who approved of your existence, you are feeding a beast that can never be satisfied. It starts innocently enough. You want to feel seen. You want to know that your effort matters, that your voice carries weight, and that you are not invisible in a crowd of billions. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the center of gravity shifts. You stop doing things because they align with who you are, and you start doing them because of how they look from the outside. You become an architect of illusions, building a life designed strictly for consumption by people who do not know you and, frankly, do not care about you. The trap closes when your internal sense of self-worth is entirely outsourced to algorithms and strangers. Think about what happens on a normal Tuesday when you put a piece of yourself out into the world. If the numbers climb, you experience a sharp, fleeting spike of dopamine. You feel relevant, powerful, and briefly anchored. But the moment those numbers stall, an insidious quiet creeps in. A hollow ache forms in your chest, whispering that if the crowd isn't clapping, your effort must have been worthless. That is the devastating bargain of chasing empty validation. You trade your permanent peace of mind for temporary digital adrenaline, and every cycle leaves you more exhausted and more dependent on the next hit. Years ago, I found myself trapped in this exact loop, measuring my worth by notifications and engagement metrics. I remember finishing a project I genuinely cared about, but the moment it went live, my eyes were glued to the refresh button rather than the satisfaction of the work itself. When it underperformed compared to my expectations, my entire day collapsed. I felt like a failure not because the work was bad, but because the market of strangers had momentarily looked away. That was the day I realized I had built a prison cell out of other people's opinions. I was letting ghosts dictate my emotional weather, handing the steering wheel of my life over to people who would forget my name 5 minutes after scrolling past my screen. The first step out of this trap is ruthless honesty about why you are reaching for your phone. When you feel the sudden urge to post, share, or check for a reaction, pause for 3 seconds and ask yourself what void you are trying to fill in that exact moment. Are you genuinely trying to connect? Or are you lonely, bored, or avoiding a hard truth about your real life? Most validation seeking is simply an anesthetic for unaddressed pain or a lack of real-world progress. When you catch yourself performing for an audience, consciously step back. Stop broadcasting your intentions and start protecting your energy. Real depth happens in the dark, away from the applause, during the long hours when no one is watching and no one is cheering you on. The second step is learning to decouple your identity from your output. The things you create, the work you do, and the goals you chase belong to you, but they are not you. When you tie your fundamental worth to external reception, you give every random critic and indifferent spectator total jurisdiction over your self-esteem. Shift your internal scorecard from how many people noticed you to whether you honored your own standards today. Did you do the work when nobody was clapping? Did you act with integrity when the room was completely empty? That is the only metric that matters, because external applause fades the second the trend shifts, but self-respect is permanent. The third step is building a life that is simply too rich and demanding in reality to care about the digital shadow. When your actual days are filled with deep work, meaningful offline relationships, physical exertion, and tangible goals, social media stops feeling like a lifeline and starts feeling like what it actually is: a noisy, irrelevant distraction. You cannot crave the approval of strangers when you are too busy trying to satisfy your own conscience. Real fulfillment is quiet, grounded, and intensely private. It does not need a comment section to prove it exists. The fourth step is embracing the discomfort of invisibility. We chase validation because we are terrified of being ignored, of fading into the background, of not mattering. But true freedom begins the moment you accept that being misunderstood or completely ignored by the masses is actually a superpower. It gives you the license to experiment, to fail, to grow, and to build something authentic without the suffocating pressure of an audience watching your every misstep. Let them scroll past. Let them misunderstand. Your job is not to manage their perception. Your job is to master your own craft. Ultimately, chasing empty validation is a slow suicide of the soul. You are trading the sacred uniqueness of your actual existence for the cheap currency of fleeting approval. When you reach the end of your life, no one is going to measure your legacy by your engagement rate or the number of people who double-tapped your highlight reel. They will remember how you loved, how you endured, and what you built when the lights were turned off. Stop asking the crowd if you are doing well. Drop the burden of constant performance, turn off the notifications, and return to the quiet dignity of doing work that actually matters to your soul. Happiness and applause will come and go on their own terms, but a life rooted in genuine purpose will outlast every trend on the internet.